What's up, y'all? It's mail time once again, and I've got a big ol' stack of mail because for the entire week that I was doing RadCon and entertaining all of the Procrastinator podcast guys at my house, I did not go to check my mail, so I ended up with a huge stack of letters and boxes here. Now, before I start, I want to address something about the sort of format of this particular video series, because some people have said that these are kind of overly long and they wish I wouldn't read out the entire letters in each one. But the thing is that a mailbag video is inherently kind of not that interesting. Like, the people who it matters the most to are me and the people who sent the mail. The people who sent the mail, want validation that it arrived and that I appreciated it. And for me, it's like a memento that I can look back on and see all the stuff I've gotten from fans and show my appreciation back to the people who sent me stuff. And it's just a good way of, maintaining some creator-fan relationship kind of thing. I don't think that it would be particularly interesting to the viewers if it was shorter anyways. Like, it's not exactly the most interesting kind of video to make. If you don't find them entertaining, don't watch them. And just the general format of this channel is not really about entertainment value videos so much as making stuff because I want it to exist for the sake of itself, and the people who happen to want to watch that stuff can watch it. Some people really love these videos, I'm sure, and, we'll sit through them no matter how long they are. So it's really more for them than anybody else. So first here I've got this box from Florida from he wrote his name over some text that was already on the box, so it's kind of hard to read. Let's look inside. Oh, it's from the Vacuuminator, I guess, who I know I've heard of in my comments. Serious analysis, genuine buffoonery. He's got his Patreon and his YouTube channel on there if anybody wants to check him out. I don't know if you can read that. It's out of focus. It's got a letter. And some 3x3s, of course. Hello, Digi. My name is Simeon Scott, though online I go by the handle of the Vacuuminator. Since people often ask, it's pronounced vacuuminator. Exactly what I was saying. But I prefer people call me Vac for short. I've been watching your content since around the midpoint of the Pony days, and I have to say it has been an absolute joy watching your channels grow and evolve over the years. From a guy who impressed me by showing me worth in a show I thought was trivial and not worth my time, to one of the best YouTubers currently producing content in my humble opinion. My favorite videos of yours are Sword Art Online Sucks, Sword Art Online 2 Part 2, Sword Art Online and Analytical Diatribe, 10 Best Things Happening in Anime This Decade, You're Gonna Carry That Weight, Aesthetic is Narrative, 10 Killer Cuts in Evangelion Ep 1, Ghost in the Shell Franchise Overview, Beginner's Guide to Blowing Money on Anime Merch, please do more segments on products like the insert shots in that video now that you have the Devu in the house, and Objectively Good Doesn't Fucking Exist. I want to say a giant thank you for all of these and all the other amazing videos you've made and been a part of in your time on YouTube. You've truly been an inspiration to me, not just in your attitude towards life, but also in the writing, editing, and shooting style of your videos, thanks in no small part to the amazing 4-hour-long commentaries you and Devu have been doing on the Patreon, really enjoying those, by the way. And your own general opinions on things such as spoilers, Objectively Good, and what makes a story great have helped me inform my own. Not to say I adopted yours after hearing them, I already felt the way you did 9 times out of 10. Your videos just helped me figure out how to put all these opinions into my own words. I hope to one day be like you, doing YouTube analysis videos as my full-time job, and doing lots of side projects with all my friends, and I hope that we can one day talk voice to voice in some way. Just from your own content, I already know you have a wonderful brain to pick. For now, though, I am perfectly content having you set the goal for myself to reach in the next 5 to 10 years. I'm not even kidding with that, by the way. You are literally living my dream life right now. Mine is having a wife and daughter. To give you a little information about myself, though, I'm running multiple channels right now, but my main one is an analysis channel mainly focused on the Japanese live-action medium of tokusatsu, though I also count American shows like Power Rangers as being in the medium, and Western comic books with a small story element that rears its ugly head from time to time. I picked these things to focus on mainly because I'm much more into heroes and the ideals they represent than anything else, and I love talking in length about them. And at the end of the day, that's really all my channel is, me talking about those ideals and what makes them work and not work. I'll be including my business card if you're at all interested in checking my work out, though fair warning, I have a ways to go. I'll also be including 2 3x3s, one of my favorite anime and one of my favorite tokusatsu. I'll be interested to see if you can name any of them without looking at the cheat sheet. And I'm also sending a gift to you, an SH Figuarts Shinken Red. I know you've mentioned a few times in various videos that the only tokusatsu you've really checked out is Samurai Sentai Shinkenger, and since I've not seen Shinkenger myself and only bought the figure because I was getting caught up in the hype for Power Ranger Samurai second season, boy was that a mistake, I figure it's better left in your hands than sitting in a dresser drawer waiting for me to get off my ass and watch Shinkenger. Anyways, thanks for taking the time to read this if you did so, and thank you again for all your videos. Don't ever let shitty commenters get to you. You really are one of the best and deserve everything good that comes your way. Until next time, this is the Vacuuminator signing off. You know, my shitty commenters probably would get to me if not for mail time, because you guys are always praising me so highly in these. So alright, here's a anime 3x3, which I'm already interested that it has Dana Ganani right there in the 3x3. Cowboy Bebop, Digimon. At first I thought the camera was like really out of focus on this and I couldn't see it, but then I realized it's just a really badly printed picture. K-On!, Gurren Lagann, Kashern Sins, Pokemon X and Y, Little Witch Academia, and what looks like Gao Gaigar there at the bottom. So pretty cool top 3x3. There's a cheat sheet in here. Oh wait, that was Transformers the movie, not Gao Gaigar. Same mecha designer though, so that's not my fault. Even though I should have recognized Hot Rod. Alright, Tokusatsu. Well, can I do it without the cheat sheet? Not at all. They all look like Kamen Rider and Super Sentai, so I can tell you that much. Let's see what they actually are. We've got Kamen Rider ZO, Kaizoku Sentai Gokaiger. I know that's one of my cousin Boyd's favorite Sentai series. Power Rangers SPD, Kamen Rider 1971, Tokume Sentai Go Busters, Garo Goldstorm Show, Power Rangers Wild Force, Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue, and Kamen Rider Amazons. So yeah, that's all the top 9. I haven't watched any of those, and you're right that the only Toku show I've really watched is Shinkenger, and he sent me a toy of Shinken Red with the big-ass fucking blade that he uses. So Samurai Sentai Shinkenger was from, like, I want to say 2010 or 11. For those who don't know about the Super Sentai, which in America are known as Power Rangers is basically, like, they take the Super Sentai shows and they took the scenes from Super Sentai, like the fight scenes, and dubbed over them, and then they filmed their own American live-action scenes with like totally different actors. So like when the characters are fighting, it's scenes from a Japanese show that look like they look ancient, and then in the American footage, like when they're at home, then it's like, you know, footage from the 90s shot in America. It's very bizarre. But I did grow up on Power Rangers, and then I found out about, you know, the Sentais much later on. And Samurai Sentai was like 23 or so episodes in when I discovered it. Like, one of the movies was just coming out, and I started watching it, and I thought it was awesome. I just really loved the, like, goofy attitude of it, that it's like, it's like, Japanese dramas tend to have really corny acting and, like, ridiculous special effects that look terrible, but they totally embrace that. Like, they don't try to hide the special effects and try to make it serious. They just totally embrace the fact that it looks stupid and it's awesome, which I really enjoy. So, yeah, it was a lot of fun to watch, and it had really cool heavy metal music, like a whole soundtrack of all these rockin' songs that I would listen to on the regular, but I never finished it. I watched 22 episodes, and then I wanted to watch the movie, but it wasn't translated yet, and then I just never got around to it whenever it was. So, alright, this next letter comes from a Jazzy34 in Maryland. Here we've got some cute little drawings of what I assume is Yui from K-On!, and it looks almost like Kerberos from Cardcaptor Sakura, I'm not sure. To Digibro from Jazzy34, I really enjoy your channel. Your videos are very entertaining. I hope you enjoyed these lovely goodies. Here's a drawing of a picture from Google of Yui from K-On! She's my favorite character in the show. Well, she's mine too, so thanks a ton for the cute little drawing. This says, to Digibro again, and on the front it says, I'll want my flash drive back at, and then there's a return address. Don't get your hopes too high that I'm actually going to return your flash drive. I don't know how serious you are, but there's a flash drive in here from DeVry University. Let's see what this says. Oh, it's the guy who sent the graph paper letter. It's me again. Here's that flash drive. I'd like your opinion on its contents. Your video about bathos really made me see something about my story. It's always kind of been following some of the ideas of bathos by having realism and ironic senses of drama in them. Holy crap, watching Angel Beats right now, that episode 3, I can already see it. My story too has a little joke right in the middle of an intense stare down between two characters. I also have a 3x3 in here, but it's not just anime. I think I've watched too little anime to be able to make a 3x3. I'm proud of. I was always kind of irritated to hear that there are so few pieces of fiction where characters acted realistically, and even with one of your recent videos, it's like, why does nobody want to make realistic characters? Are realistic characters really that bad? I almost never encounter them in fiction. It's like there's no appeal to creating them. Some of the biggest parts of K-On!, thanks for that too by the way, was the 2 parts where they played with the tools in the hardware store, and when they went to that field trip like thing with the sensei because of how similar they were to stuff that happens in the actual real life. Half-Life 2's Eli Vance and them moments from K-On! Are the most memorable real moments in fiction I've experienced. Must have something to do with that word relatable, whatever that means. Even over a year ago, I thought there must have been little value in the sheer obvious fictionality. I got so sick of it that these cartoon and anime characters act that I removed fictional character from my story. I'm going to go to the extreme. I'm not just going to make my characters realistic, they're going to be literally real, and they're already working well from what I can see. This may be a lot to ask, but this is how I'm helping myself. It'd be cool if you could make a video about real-life level realisticness on your main channel. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. I am now reminded of that episode where Crimson Chin went fetal position over learning that he's a fictional character. But yeah, realism. Also, I finished Angel Beats and literally no tears. How disappointing. There's a picture on the back. I'm not entirely sure of what yet, but it's pretty cute. It says, it's Doom Guy, it's fucking Doom Guy. Nobody else fights demons with guns. What? Alucard? I don't know. I never watched Hellsing. Did I need to add a hint? Just put Mars or 1993 up there and ruin the fun of guessing. Oh, because I believe in the previous letter, there was a picture of Doom Guy, and he said that I would recognize it, and I didn't recognize it. Oh, this is like a whole sheet of... It says anime only 3x3s are BS, and it's like drawn pictures of, I guess, just all his favorite stuff, because it doesn't look like a 3x3. We've got RuneScape, the Valve symbol, like what looks like Raphael from the Ninja Turtles, Spyro. I have no idea what this guy is. A lot of these I don't recognize. There's a Doom Guy, Morty. I'm not going to go through all of them. There's a lot of stuff, but you can see all of them right here. Oh, and there's a cute little Shinobu on the back. So I guess the previous letter had promised a flash drive, and this is that flash drive. I don't remember if the previous letter said what was on the flash drive, but I guess I'll find out what's on the flash drive in a bit. Okay, so I'm not going to go through too much of what's on this flash drive because there's quite a bit of it, but it seems to be this guy's entire story. He had some notes on it first, and then like an entire volume of like writing here, quite long, so I don't know when or if I will even find time to look through that. God damn, this is like a whole book. And then there's a sneak preview of volume 2, as well as a bunch of development pics, which is all like character designs and stuff. There's like 100 of these in here. Get the sense he might be... His art style kind of reminds me of Yoshitoshi Abe a little bit. Like, just the way he draws eyes and faces. I wonder if that's a big influence. And then, there's like a ton of those. And then also a ton of music from the story. Which is all like soundtrack music. I don't know where all this music comes from or how it was produced. Yeah. Yeah. It's all very MIDI. So yeah, pretty interesting. As for a video about real life realisticness, I don't really know what you mean by that. Like, I don't know how to make a character completely real, but to me what I value more than realism is verisimilitude, which is a word that basically means how well can you convince me that things are real within that universe. So, for instance, if you establish like a universe where magic exists, and you want me to like believe that it all like is really happening in that world, you need to establish like clear ground rules on how all the magic works and stuff like that, so that I can follow it and I can understand like how it's real to those characters, and like having characters act in ways that like make sense in the context of their world. Another good way of putting it is shandification, as Mr. Beatung's video on Fallout goes. Look up the shandification of Fallout, which is a fantastic video about how to achieve verisimilitude through having a world wherein you can tell all kinds of different stories in that world, where the setting is not just in service of the story, but the story flows naturally from the setting. And that creates the sense that this world actually exists outside of the story being told. So I think that's a little bit more important than just the straight up realism of the characters. It's more if they're convincing than if they're real that I think really matters. Alright, next we have a letter from DJR in New Jersey, which was sent to Anime is a Japanese Colloquialism. That's the address that it was sent to. There's a sticky note on the inside of this that just says patreon.com/bensaint and saintcomics.com. Gotta keep the meme alive. Though technically it's Saint Comics with an X rather than a CS. But the meme is indeed alive. And there's actually an anime magazine in here, an Otaku USA with Girls in Panzer on the front. I don't know if I have this one already because I have a sizable Otaku USA collection now, but it's been a while since someone actually sent an anime magazine, which was like what I originally opened the P.O. box for. Alright, here's a letter. Dear Digi Bro, I don't mean to sound like I'm sucking up to you, but you're seriously my favorite YouTuber. I first discovered your channel through your What Is Anime and What Isn't video, and I've been watching your content ever since. Every time you upload a video, I feel like I have to watch it as soon as possible. After having seen several of your fan mail unboxing videos, I decided to send you this letter. By doing so, I feel as though I'm doing more as a member of your audience because I'm making a contribution to one of your videos. Included with this letter is an issue of Otaku USA. This particular issue is the only anime magazine I've ever owned, but I don't really feel like keeping it anymore, so I sent it to you. Besides that, there are 2 anime 3x3s. One of them is my favorite shows, while the other one is for the shows I hate/don't like. One of the shows included among my favorites list is School Live, aka Gakko Gurashi. I recently recommended the show to one of my friends, not only because I thought it was such a great show, but also so that I could have someone to talk about it. In preparation for a discussion with him about the show, I decided to write down all of my thoughts on the show and say why I like it so much. By the time I was finished, I was surprised by just how much I had written. I'm not even kidding when I say that I wrote the equivalent of a 2-page report on School Live. Whenever I write something from now on, I'll try to follow your example by being as concise and to the point as possible. I'm actually an aspiring author, and I intend to keep finding ways to practice my writing, but hopefully I don't become a procrastinator, in quotations. I've actually known about the Procrastinators podcast for quite some time, but I didn't start listening to it until the Bleach episode. Now I'm going back to the earlier episodes and listening to those as well. Now I can't stop, as if I didn't already have enough podcasts to listen to. I also really enjoyed the episode of Pizza Party podcast that had you as a guest. The moment that Jim asked if K-On! Was your ex-girlfriend was the greatest moment in the history of the podcast, but for me, it was Tuesday. That's a Street Fighter movie reference in case you weren't aware. I was aware. Anyways, take it easy and please keep making awesome content. From your fan, Daryl Roxas. P.S. If you're not going to finish watching Rewrite, I would recommend at the very least searching for clips of Kagari on YouTube because she's the best character. She's probably one of my favorite characters played by Kana Hanazawa. An example of Kagari being so great is from a later part of the series where the main character meets with her at night and she asks him, "Is this a booty call?" That does sound entertaining. By the way, Really appreciate the large type font. Makes it easier to read coherently on camera. So here's his top shows, which are pretty interesting. We've got, I want to read the text. Steins Gate, oh, they all just say I love this show. Steins Gate, School Live, Little Busters, Space Patrol Luluco, Code Geass, Kyoso Giga, Hunter x Hunter, One Piece, and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. All shows that I can definitely agree are good. Really nice print quality on these pictures, by the way. Like really excellent looking thumbnails, printed at a high quality. And his bottom shows, so we've got Daybreak Illusion, Guilty Crown, Tri-Age X, We Without Wings, Afro Samurai, Nurse Witch Komugi-chan R, Poopa, Elfenlied, and Sword Art Online. I can respect this list. I didn't hate Afro Samurai. It wasn't great. The rest of these I either dropped in one episode or Elfenlied, which I watched when I was younger, and I'm almost certain I would despise if I tried to watch it today. Alright, this next one comes from... What state is W.I.? Is that... It's not Wyoming. That would be W.Y., right? Wisconsin? I think it's from Wisconsin. It doesn't have a name on it. It says, Montana Simatuver. Read everything on this piece of paper. Hey Digi, I've been watching your videos since early 2014. It was when you just stopped doing pony videos and went on to anime. My friends found you because they were bronies. They showed me your videos, and I enjoyed the anime content. Although I don't watch a lot of anime anymore, hell, I can barely make a 3x3, which is coming later. I have watched around 30 or 50 anime, but finding what I would consider favorites is quite a challenge. I've thought of 8 as of this point in the letter. The reason I don't watch many anime anymore is because overall I have a tough time being passive nowadays. If I do something, it has to involve participation, like video games. I can't sit still for too long. I can't watch Let's Plays anymore because of this. I curse my terrible attention span. Anywho, abruptly to the 3x3. Kind of funny that you can sit through my videos if you don't have the attention span to sit through anime. No printer, so make do with written. This is in no particular order. Is it supposed to be? 3x3s confuse me, I think is what it says. Number 1 is One Piece. Number 2, Hunter x Hunter. Number 3, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. 4, Bakuman. 5, Steins Gate. 6, Soul Eater. 7, Log Horizon. 8, Monster. And 9, Durarara with a question mark after it. I found number 9, although if this were ranked, Durarara would be last on the list at number 9 on back. Just wanted to say, last I watched Durarara was in 2013 or earlier, so season 3 and such, whenever that came out, I may not have seen. I want to state that I may have only watched 30 anime, but I've been into anime since 2010. Almost became a weeb at one point. And that's that letter. So pretty good 3x3, all shows that I like as well, as you probably all know by now, and that seems to usually be the case, which I guess isn't too surprising. I guess people who watch my videos are probably going to be people who generally have similar tastes to me. Alright, this next one's from Jacksonville, Florida. And it looks like a novel. Hey Digibro, I apologize in advance as this letter is more concerned with you as a gonzo journalist than it is about anime. Well, I don't know why you have to apologize for that, because I wasn't expecting my letters to be about anime. I wanted to write you and express my appreciation of your work, particularly that of your Digibro After Dark channel. It is endlessly satisfying to hear your thoughts about enjoying anime. I especially liked your videos titled Objectively Good Doesn't Fucking Exist, Appreciation, Enjoyment, and Consensus, and most recently, The Problem with Outsider Articles. I'd like to elaborate on why. When I tell people I do research and behavior analysis, their reactions are painfully reminiscent of when I used to tell friends I enjoy watching anime. They say, that's interesting, but they mean gross. They ask, what's it about, but they mean, what's wrong with you? They remark, I've heard of that, but they mean, I've heard bad things about that. Discouraging but expected, considering the only representations of behavior analysis are made by outsiders. Textbooks describe behavior analysis as a long-dead and rejected philosophy. Professional psychologists speak about how behavior analysis Professional psychologists speak about behavior analysis as a foreign evil corrupting the youth. Journalists warn of the dangers of behavior analysis and Skinner box mechanics as problematic and dehumanizing. I've subsequently struggled to see what the value of my work is for many years. Not my own work per se, behavior analysis in general. I don't like how it's perceived in the public, how it's talked about by outsiders, or how little is being done by fellow behavior analysts to change things. I've been looking for reasons to actively advocate for behavior analysis when I'm not teaching, or writing, or doing research, or doing clinical work, or attending conferences, or making more excuses. Your collective work, Digibro, After Dark, and TPC Gang, has convinced me that I cannot sufficiently represent my field from the obscurity of research journals or the unremarkability of Not Another Science blog. YouTube and podcasts are my current goal. We'll see how it goes. For what it's worth, you've been a huge inspiration to me for these past few years. Your thoughtful criticism and analysis has made me rethink a lot of how I enjoy anime and even my long-term career trajectory as a scientist. I don't have many anime magazines to send you, but I'd like to try and make reading this worth your time in another respect. Digi, you sound like a scientist to me. From your rejection of objectivity to your specific identification with determinism, I wholly believe you would dig the behavior analytical paradigm. We treat psychology like a natural science. As complex as human behavior can be, it is all ultimately physical phenomena that can be directly studied. We reject creationist ideas of inner causes and the idea that a person is somehow knowable by distant indirect measures and made-up constructs. With your interest in psychology and your opinions about knowing, I thought you might enjoy reading some of this behavior analytical in literature. I mean, it sounds interesting as fuck, so I'm definitely in. Attached is a copy of Behavior Analysis, Mentalism, and the Path to Social Justice. Oh god, please don't stop reading yet. I swear it's not related to SJW crap. This is a great article that covers how garbo psychology is and how its continued unscientific bullshit has historically and is actively hurting our understanding of one another. The part I think you'd like is the description of mentalism as it pertains to some of your opinions about faulty understandings of objectivity and what constitutes a thoroughgoing analysis. There's tremendous power and freedom in understanding how our environments shape up our behavior. Much of this philosophy is based on determinism, logical positivism, and pragmatism, all principles which you appear to strongly identify. Everything about us, even our opinions on anime, comes from somewhere, and I think you'll only appreciate that more if you dabble a bit in behavior analytical literature. This is a moot point, however, because all our shit is behind academic journal paywalls. You can see on the first page of the attached that despite being scathingly well written over a decade ago, fewer than 500 people have read this paper. See, I have a lot of work to do. Anyways, keep doing you. And then there's a 3x3 of, it looks like Spice and Wolf, Samurai Champloo, Food Wars, Beck, I think this is ReZero, Ghost in the Shell, Princess Mononoke, Kyokai no Kanata, and Fooly Cooly. P.S. Crockpots are great, but pressure cookers are better. Also, TPC House needs a mascot pet. Is that ReZero? I don't know. I don't recognize this. He kind of looks like the main character from ReZero, but he could be someone else. If I'm making a huge mistake, I'll feel like a total idiot later. But the other stuff's pretty okay. I don't like Kyokai no Kanata, but anyways, that's a pretty interesting letter, and it does sound like your field of study is basically exactly how I feel about stuff. I'm not going to read this on camera right now. Oh man, you've got like tons of notes in here and stuff too. But it's very long. Well, too long for a video anyways. But I'll definitely check it out and offer my opinions in the future. And I encourage you to make those videos because, yeah, the fucking, the paywalling and bullshit of academia really bothers me. And, like, there's so much analytical content that's just kind of trapped in this little, this little group of people who are kind of just barreling on their own past what everyone else is talking about. And, while they might be finding... I kind of gave a rant about this on the show The Pub Crawl. If you don't watch The Pub Crawl, I recommend checking it out. My friend Cider, who is the host of The Pub Crawl, is a doctorate who studies video games. And we had a couple of lengthy discussions about, like, our problems with academia and, like, how I wish more of it was bleeding into, like, what I do, of more, like, populist analysis, like, stuff that's meant to be informative for everyone and not just for the people who are already in the know and who already have, like, this storied experience with reading all these fucking books and academic journals and stuff and, who need to be in college to even access some of these documents. Burning down the ivory towers. Alright, this next one is from a McDougal in New Jersey. Well, this one appears to be just a collection of 3x3s. So, one is for manga, one's for anime, and one's for what looks like Vocaloid music. So we've got the anime 3x3, which consists of Sakamichi no Apollon, Sora no Oto, Keion, Meguka Butchera is what it says on the back, Gochumon wa Coffee Lollies, NHK Psych 101 ni Yokoso, Shiki, Tengen Toppa Lagan, and No Dame Cantabile. All really solid shows, not anything I don't like in here, and some of my favorites. Although I haven't seen Sakamichi no Apollon all the way through, which I should definitely get around to, but great taste. Next up is Vocaloid albums, I think. We've got, oh no, it's just albums in general. It's got Love Sick by Nujabes, Reboot by Jimmy Thumb P, also called One Room, Galaxy 1 by First Astronomical Velocity, Goku Saishiki by Riol, Supercell by Supercell, Cafe de Toho Volume 4 by DDBY, No You, No Me by Deco27, Tell Your World EP by Livetune.kz, and Platina Jazz Standards Volume 4 by Rasmus Faber. I'm familiar with Platina Jazz, which is pretty cool, and it's from the guy who did the Asterisk War soundtrack, Rasmus Faber. Supercell used to listen to back in the day. Love Sick is a pretty great collection of songs with Nujabes featuring Shingo 2, the same duo who do the Samurai Champloo opening. So some pretty cool stuff in there, and I'm sure I've probably heard Cafe de Toho at some point, if that's the Jazz Toho album, which I believe it is. And lastly, we've got a manga 3x3, which has The Breaker, which is a manhwa, so he's cheating, Gakko Gurashi, Beck Mongolian Chop Squad, I Am a Hero, High School of the Dead, Coffee Mo Ippai, which I've never heard of, Ajin, Solanin, and Crime and Punishment, which is actually Yotsuba, but he wrote Crime and Punishment on the back. It says, sorry my printer sucks, any anime and manga recommendations based on my taste? Well, based on your manga list, you've got 3 different zombie stories in here. Gakko Gurashi, High School of the Dead, and I Am a Hero, which are all pretty unique takes on the zombie formula, but I'm guessing you like zombies a lot, which I don't love zombies, so I can't recommend anything based on that. It was just an interesting observation to make. Beck and Solanin are both in here. I mean, if you haven't read the other stuff from the Solanin author, what's his fucking name? He also wrote Oyasumi Punpun and all that stuff. Maybe check out more of his stuff, though I'm guessing you like those both for the musical connection, since they're both about bands. This all seems like it's very much based in, like, personal life experiences or taste. Like, obviously, a taste for zombies and a taste for stuff about bands. Maybe try Nana, the anime or manga, though it's soul-crushingly fucking depressing, so I don't know if it's a good idea. And, I mean, based on your... Well, you've got Keion in your anime list, which is also about music, and Sora no Oto, which is also about music. So clearly there's and No Dame Cantabile. So clearly you're a musician. I'm going to go ahead and throw that... Oh, and Kids on the Slope. So yeah, basically every anime or manga about music is clearly something you're into. So I don't know. Seek out anything that's about music, I guess. I wish I could be more helpful, but I'm struggling here. It just seems like your taste is so incredibly specific that it might be easier for you to find your own recommendations than it would be for me to find something for you. Oh wait, there is a letter in here. I just totally brushed past it and saw only 3x3s. Okay, here's the letter. Dear Digibro, I hope this letter finds you well. After watching your 10th letter and package opening video, I was inspired to write something of my own and send it in. Forgive me if this letter winds up being a bit verbose. There were a few things I'd have loved to have chatted with you about when I bumped into you at Otakon, but I didn't want to interrupt your enjoyment of the karaoke room. Though you killed it singing Fua Fua Time, glad I got to film it. Oh, you must be the dude who filmed... You know what? I remember talking to you. I assume it was you. This was a person who works for Sony Music, so the musical connection has suddenly become incredibly obvious. Before I launch into my diatribe here, I want to take a second to digress and tell you how great your channel is. Before guys like you, Demo, and Mother's Basement rolled around, anime discussion had mostly been limited to forums and YouTube comment sections where teens would argue over which Naruto character was the greatest of all time, or more elitist forums where anything a person didn't like was automatically shit. There was so little in-depth analysis going on regarding anime as a film medium at all, but with your various breakdowns in Jeff's What's in an OP series, among others, I feel like people are finally beginning to respect the literary and cinematographic ideas anime brings to the table. So good job, keep being awesome. But anyway, you make some pretty incredible points in a lot of your videos. I'm always impressed by the sheer level of logic and reasoning you bring to the table, and it's refreshing to hear someone quantify their points with evidence rather than because I say so. In particular, I appreciate your various discussions on Bokumachi, which was erased. I felt the same way about it that you did, but everyone around me thought I was crazy. I slogged through the whole show, hoping that it would somehow turn out differently than I predicted in the first few episodes, but unfortunately it failed to deviate from the obvious conclusions it foreshadowed early on. On the flip side, I'd love the chance to chat with you sometime and try to sway you towards the positive side on the Madoka Rebellion movie, which I'm quite fond of. Also, despite the flack you received for it, your most boring taste in anime 3x3's video was awesome. I think that's the one that made me subscribe to your channel, if I recall correctly. You stabbed right through the heart of why so much anime discussion is plagued by bullshit these days. Too many people wanting to sound smart rather than actually enjoying what they enjoy. I wanted to float a topic suggestion for a video that I figure many fans might like to see. If you have any staff you wanted, what's the ultimate anime you'd want to see produced? Money not being a concern, of course. Would you help adapt a work or create something anime original? Who would you want at the helm? Well, to cover that briefly, I discussed this a bit in my Bloodborne playthrough with my brother Victor, that if I ever became a producer, and I'd love to do it one day, if I ever became rich, stupid rich, I'd love to just throw money at some creatives and just tell them to do whatever they want. I don't really want to hire people to make my anime idea because their heart's not going to be in it. The thing I want is not necessarily what other people are going to be able to do incredibly well. Whereas I'd much rather be able to walk up to my favorite director or something, or some young upstart or someone who I could tell would use the money well, and just be like, here's a budget to do whatever the fuck you want. Give me your craziest dream project that you've always wanted to do. Recruit, put together your team. I don't know who you want to work with, but you probably know who you want to work with, So if I could just hand a truckload of money to someone maybe Kyoto Animation. Imagine if I could go up to them and be like, hey, whatever you feel like doing, here's the money to do it. Not tied to a publisher or anything. Just make something cool. Or to just hand it over to a director like Shinichiro Watanabe or Masaaki Yuasa, or someone who I could imagine doing some random solo project like that. Someone who I know has this idea they've always wanted, to get out there. So I'd love to just hand money to someone and have that happen. As for anime, I'd love to see if it was just gonna be something like an adaptation. I'm gonna co-opt something my friend Ghost Lightning said, which was that he would love to see an OVA adaptation of Nazca of the Valley of the Wind. I think that would be badass, but unfortunately, I know that they would do it in CG if they did it today. There's just no way they wouldn't. If I can make the demand that it's not done in CG, I'd love a full-blown adaptation of that, or really of any of the coolest manga, because most of my favorite manga are just manga that didn't have an anime adaptation that lived up to the manga. So any of those would be great. And yeah, I don't know. When I think about it, I keep thinking of Ghost Lightning's ideas. He had this whole amazing idea for an anime version of the Crusades, but with mechas, which was his dream anime, and I think that sounds pretty awesome. I don't really know what my dream anime would be, other than maybe one of my stories made into anime, something, or one of my fan fictions. I once wanted to write a fanfic called Ultimate Lolly Apocalypse, which was just a crossover of every lolly from every anime, all in some magical girl scenario where they're all I don't know, stopping the end of the world or something. That would be awesome. But yeah. Lastly, I wanted to send you a few 3x3s because I, as a viewer, always find those fun to see in other letter opening videos. The first is my anime 3x3. This one interests me because despite having seen hundreds of shows, a lot of my shows still feel like they're too entry level for me to comfortably call favorites. I know you've debunked this idea in other videos, but the feeling still sits in me like there's some sort of more obscure or highbrow series I should be liking more. I also feel like perhaps a few of these are too recent, and maybe they'll fail to stand up to the test of time. Oh well, there's also a manga 3x3 in there, pretty self-explanatory. Yeah, like, I've had that feeling before where it's like this sense in the back of my mind, like I know there's that one movie out there I haven't seen yet that's totally gonna make my list. I feel a lot more comfortable nowadays because I've seen most of everything, and like there's no show that I can think of off the top of my head that like everyone has told me I'm going to love and I'm convinced I'm going to love, and I just for whatever reason haven't gotten around to it. Like there's some that I think that could happen. Like for instance, one of my YouTuber friends, Subsonic Sparkle, recently watched, I think it was Anne of Green Gables. He just like watched it all in like 2 days and said it was fucking amazing, you know? And like I've always been kind of averse to watching stuff from the 70s just because I have such a hard time getting through like the audio quality and stuff like that. But then I recently watched the first like 5 episodes of Future Boy Conan, which was the first TV show, the only TV show directed by Hayao Miyazaki, and that was awesome, and I totally loved it. I haven't finished it, but it was like such a shocker to see like a 70s anime on TV that I actually was really enjoying, and it had never happened before. So like now I kind of have that spark, like maybe one of those 70s shows, maybe one of the classic World Masterpiece Theater shows is gonna sneak up on me and be in my top 10 or something. But I feel more comfortable nowadays than I did before, that like maybe I really do know what most of my favorite anime are, you know? Alright, the final 3x3 is a Weeaboo Music 3x3. These are mostly either Vocaloid, Toho, or just anime related in general, as I tend to keep my ears closer to the scenes than the Japanese mainstream, Nujabes being the exception here. Inspired by the guy who did it before me, I wanted to include a sample mixtape for you, but instead I just created a YouTube playlist for you. Just search for McDougal's Digibro mixtape on YouTube. Hopefully you enjoy a few of these. For lack of specific selection from Platinum Jazz Volume 4 on YouTube, I had to sub in a few others from other compilations, but they're all amazing. I'll end it there. Maybe one day I'll get lucky and wind up on a podcast with you and Jeff. Who knows? Until then, I'll keep tuning in after dark. From McDougal. P.S. You totally look better without the beard. Without the whole beard, or just without, you know, because I think this looks pretty okay. But the whole beard was definitely a problem. But yeah, thanks for the letter, and I totally remember you from Otakon. Thanks for filming the tweet of me singing Fua Fua Time. And for all the kind words. This next one is from Kenny Cornhusk in Ohio, and it's got what appears to be a drawing of Konata on the back, and it says, "Your God has arrived" on it. So yeah. I hate to damage this by opening it. You drew it on the side I have to tear apart. Now that I've opened it, it says, "Where'd my face go?" on the top lid. That's pretty cute. Alright, handwritten, but with some easier handwriting. I've returned. It is I, Kenny. I have yet again written a letter on Google Docs. Hope you enjoyed the envelope. You'll notice that there isn't a link written here. I've made a Twitter page specifically to send you mail. My handle is @KennyCornhusk. Follow me if you want. There's gonna be more mail, trust me. I might not be able to write weekly. I have a pretty hectic life. Sincerely, Kenny Cornhusk. So this must be the same Kenny who sent me that letter of his story of becoming the harem king. I did actually get a tweet about this Google Doc, and I was confused because I was like, didn't I already open the Google Doc in the other video? But now I know why. He sent a second letter, so I'll check that out at some point. Alright, this next one has no return address whatsoever. Hi Digibro, I'm a big fan of your videos, and I've only recently started watching them about 3 months ago. I really love your in-depth analysis of shows that I thought were alright, but you'd find some deep flaws in, like Boku Dakigai Naimachi, or Gate, or one of my favorites, Katanagatari. I've watched about under 100 anime or so, most of them being shows from either this decade or the last, and the only 90s shows I've watched are Cowboy Bebop and Outlaw Star. What shows from the 90s or even 80s would you recommend as a good starting point for the era? Well, Neon Genesis Evangelion is a pretty big one that, you know, everyone should see. Not super indicative of its time necessarily, but it's one of the most important things of the era. Serial Experiments Lane, If you really want to get into 80s anime, Macross and the original Gundam film trilogy. I think Macross is probably easier, like as an entryway anime. Um, Maybe Space Adventure Cobra is a lot of fun. Um, there's a lot of good OVAs from the 80s and 90s and movies. So if you watch like all the classic films like Akira, all the old Ghibli films, Ghost in the Shell, any of that stuff is all great. Just look up like a list of classic anime movies. They mostly come from the 80s and 90s. But for TV anime, if you want to get into like the long running classics like Yu Yu Hakusho or Dragon Ball or Sailor Moon, like a lot of those are worth checking out. It really depends on like what kind of anime from that era you're trying to get into. But overall, like you need to see Ava just in general. And so that. I used to watch at least 12 shows each season 2 years ago, but after your rant on Asterisk War and Gate, I'm now starting to see the sameness that all these shows are. I'd stick with harem shows most of the time in hopes that maybe Best Girl would win or maybe the plot would get good, but after none of that happened after my 12th harem show, I realized that these shows are all cookie cutter flavor of the month drivel. And when you talked about Joker Game in one of your videos, I was kind of thinking that maybe you were wrong at first. When I decided to rewatch the first episode and I could see your points, but I was still able to enjoy the show and its story because I really like World War II era shows. I started out this season with 16 shows on my plate, but due to time and absorbing the content of your videos, I have only kept up with about 5 or 6. Yeah, that's what tends to happen to me as well. If you could estimate how many shows have you watched so far, well, according to my anime list, I've completed over 700 shows. I've seen at least some episodes of like 2,500, something like that. So a lot. I used to have a goal to watch almost every anime I'd glance at on the internet, 4chan, or any other happening, but now it all seems like a chore. Anime is one of my favorite mediums. I absolutely love it, but with the state of anime industry today, I'm getting a bit sick and tired of the 70% shit that's put out today. And yet, I'll still watch it or try to binge shows each season and hopefully get around to a show's first season and hopefully get around to its second. Sometimes I think about wanting to make my own anime or manga somewhere in the far future, but with the likes of Under the Dog turning into a complete joke after much hype, I'm very wary of that anime in its essence will never again be able to be crafted by sheer passion and care. I feel like a crash of the anime market will hopefully create a wake-up call, or not. Same with movies, music, and television. So many things are monetized and expected to turn out profit. There's a lot of this is like crossed out, and I don't know if I'm supposed to read that part. Anyways, what do you think? How do you think the anime market should progress? What are your thoughts on pandering to the otaku? Thanks for reading, and I'm looking forward to your next videos. I think what I would like the anime market to do is to just become more decentralized and less about like 45 shows come out in a season, watch all of them, I think that like I'm kind of sad that people get like so caught up in the seasonal show thing. Like a new season starts and everyone watches all the new shows because they're a part of that season. And meanwhile, all this interesting stuff gets kind of left by the wayside because it's not following that exact release formula. And like a lot of those shows are the most like flavor of the week, flavor of the season, here's the new cute girl show, here's the new harem show, here's the new this and that. And I'd rather that there's more, stuff that's not following the same formulas of 22-minute episodes and 12 episodes a season and like keeping to all these traditional things. Just the other day, me and my friends we recorded 3 episodes of the show called The Plebe and the Weave that's going to be coming out on my main channel before too long. It's being edited by Endless Jess, who was part of it. And we had just watched ReZero, and we just were totally, like, burned out on it. We were like, this was lame and boring, and we were all like, man, anime sucks. And then, out of the blue, I was, like, looking for a new show to watch that would be short so that we could, like, crank one more Plebe and the Weeb out before we left. And I found Planetarian, which is an adaptation of a visual novel from the early 2000s, but they made it into a 5-episode ONA in original net animation, and each of the 5 episodes is a totally different length. They're all between like 12 and 24 minutes, but each one is its own length. Each one feels like concise and to the point. It makes its point. It gets the whole story told. There didn't feel like there was any wasted time, and we all loved it. Like, it was a show that I hadn't heard really anybody talk about. Jesse had never heard of it at all, and he thought it was a 10 out of 10. He fucking adored the show. And I was just like, why isn't more anime like this? Why aren't there more shows that are just a concise, tightly written, like each episode is however long it needs to be. It comes out for as long as it needs to, and then it just finishes the story and it's over, And even though it's an adaptation of a visual novel, like, it's still a great anime in its own right. It just told a very simple and small story, did it well, and got out of there. And I was like, why is there not more like this? So that's kind of what I want to see, is more anime that don't try to just fit in with the crowd. All right, this next page just says, by the way, rate my bait, which is crossed out and it says taste. So his taste, it's a 3x3 all written out. For my real taste, 5 centimeters per second, yuru yuri, kokoro ga sake bitagaterunda. I don't actually know which show that is. I know I've heard of it. Steins Gate, Rolling Girls, Omoide Poro Poro, which is Only Yesterday, Kekai Sensen, Clannad, and Angel Beats. Be honest, it says. Well, 5 centimeters per second I enjoyed back when I saw it when I was younger. I don't know if I think it holds up that well, though his latest film, Your Name, was pretty okay. Yuri Yuri I haven't been able to get into. That other one I think that might have been Girls in the Wasteland or whatever. I dropped that in one episode. Steins Gate is awesome, one of my favorites. Rolling Girls is a show I really want to love, but it doesn't make any fucking sense. Only Yesterday is great. Kekai Sensen I only saw 3 episodes of so far, but I will finish it eventually. Clannad I'm not a fan of. Angel Beats I really like. So that's my opinion of your taste. One more thing, I sent a package that should come in within the month or the first few days of October. It's a poster of one of my favorite anime, and I hope you can find a place for it in your room. I also hope that you don't have the same one, as I haven't really had a good look at all of your posters, and I hope that the quality of it isn't complete shit. Stay real, man. I think you might have gotten it already. It's the Rolling Girls poster. Oh, he amended that. Yeah, I did get the Rolling Girls poster. It's up in my living room right now, which you should see it in... If you go to the Procrastinators podcast channel, I'm about to upload a 360 video, or no, not that one. Well, it will appear in a video on the Procrastinators podcast channel that might come out later this week or something. Oh, here's his meme taste, by the way, which is Corey in the House, Dragon Ball Z, what appears to be Shia LaBeouf backed by a wall of rare Pepes, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Naruto as performed by what's his name? You know the guy, Samuel Jackson. Sword Art Online, what's that? Pacific Rim, Shrek, and Bakemonogatari. And it's just Kanbaru saying that she's very erotic, which is true. She's quite erotic. All right, here's a letter from a Logan in Minnesota. Interesting packaging for a letter. Dear Digibro, I'm a rather new patron, and I thought I'd write to you because I don't really have anything else better to do right now. Or rather, I am trying to avoid doing something productive. I've been an anime fan since I was around 10, and now as I'm about to turn 25, I notice my love is bigger than it's ever been. Anime is what spawned most of my life choices. When I was a kid and watched Digimon, I decided to join the soccer team in elementary and middle school. Then when I watched Prince of Tennis, I played tennis in high school. And after watching Full Metal Panic, I decided it would be fun to join the army in hopes of being able to pilot robots once the military invented them. Results varied. Anime also contributed to me getting a worthless creative writing degree and has helped me to make a living off trying to write my own perfect anime. Only in book form though, I can't draw for shit and don't have enough patience to direct people. I was wondering what major decisions, or funny ones if any, have you made because you were influenced by an anime? Also, I got a couple of 3x3s for you. One is a generic favorite anime list, but I wanted to get unconventional on my other list, so I decided to use my favorite food. Just a forewarning, I really like dessert. I wrote this blog post on this blog that I had that I didn't write much on called Nobue Maniacs, which is a parody of another blog called Ogiue Maniacs, which is really good and it's still running, that you could go check out, a text blog. Nobue Maniacs was about how much I love Nobue Ito from Ichigo Marshmallow. And I wrote this post called... When I was 13, anime inspired me to do Taekwondo. Now that I'm 17, it's inspiring me to smoke. Because when I was a kid, like I wanted to get into like swords and martial arts and everything because I was a huge anime fan. I don't know why Taekwondo ended up being the one we did. I guess it was close to the house, or my dad had a coupon or something. So we started doing that as me and my brothers and my dad. And then, yeah, like I've always thought smoking looks super cool. I still feel that way. I think smoking is super awesome and fun and cool. And Nobuo Ito smokes a lot, and she made it look cool. And there's a part in Ichigo Marshmallow where it explains how she started smoking, and she started when she was like 12 because she's in a park and she sees a guy like smoking like while sitting on a swing. And she thought he looked cool, and he left his pack behind. So she picked it up, and she just kept practicing until she could do it well, and became a smoker ever since. And that level of determination to do something like that inspired me to do the same later in life. So yeah, this is a very interesting 3x3. Not much like any of the ones I've gotten so far. It's got Macross Frontier, Fate Zero, Fate Collade Liner Prisma Ilia, I think is what that is. Actually, that might not be what that is. What is that? I don't know. It's got a couple of blonde girls in some really suggestive poses, so I just assumed it's Liner Ilia, but they don't look lolly enough. What the hell is this? I can tell it's a Megami poster, and like it's got the title of the show up in the corner, but it's not cleanly printed enough for me to read it. Whatever. Mawaru Penguin Drum, Chihaya Furu, Evangelion with a very cute Asuka picture, Madoka Magica, Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, and Kill La Kill. So it's not as different as I thought, but the fact that Macross F was on there and whatever this is threw me for a loop for a second. What the fuck is it? Is it just like... Is it Fate related? It looks Fate related. I don't know. But pretty good taste, all things considered. And then, oh, his favorite food. His favorite food 3x3. It's all ass. It's just a bunch of ass. Can I identify each of these asses? We've got Vivid Dread Operation, High School of the Dead. This ass looks familiar, but I don't recognize it. It is quite juicy, though. This looks like Super Sonico. These panties look familiar, but I'm not sure. This also kind of looks like Super Sonico or Megarine Luca or something. The bottom three... Well, this one's Hatsune Miku, obviously, but I don't recognize the other two. Though these also look like familiar hot pants, so... and she's blonde. I'm not sure, but yeah, that's a cavalcade of ass right there. Alright, finally we've got a couple of big packages. This one comes from Felipe Velasco Considera, I think is how you pronounce that, from Brazil. Apologies if I completely butchered your name. Okay, there's a pretty radical collection of books in here. Hello, Conrad. I consider me one of your biggest fans. I've been following your work since 2013. Even though I don't know you, I get things that you are saying. Yeah, that's a reference to the song, the lyrics of the song Actualize. I've consumed almost 100% of your good content. I've said good content because I hate gameplays and your videos on Modal Soul Productions are shit. The song I'm Mortal is one of my favorite songs ever. That song contains every single thought of death I had. My favorite videos of yours are the series 8 Nights of Kara no Kyokai, First Serial Experiment, all of your videos of Ava, the Monogatari analysis, Art is all about pressing your buttons, Best reaction to food in anime, Although I Hate Food Wars, Aesthetic is Narrative, and The Ass War Sucks Part 9. Criticize my taste. His top 10 is Evangelion, Hunter x Hunter, Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex, Kill La Kill, Gurren Lagann, Madoka Magica, Steins Gate, Welcome to the NHK, and FMA Brotherhood. How am I supposed to criticize that? Those are all among my favorite shows. Every single one of them is a show that I absolutely love. Madoka Magica is not a favorite, but I do love that show. Shows that I want to hear your thoughts on. Gun Frontier, I've never seen it. Yowamushi Pedal, I've only seen a couple episodes of this while my brother Victor was watching it. I just kind of like sat in on a couple episodes. I thought it just seemed like pretty cliche shonen sports stuff, so I just didn't bother giving it a shot, but I might eventually, look at it a little more. Kuroshitsuji, I've only seen like one episode of each season. I kind of want to check out the rest of Book of Circus, which I think is on the Second Chances board up there. And Grisaria no Kajitsu, which I believe is Fruit of Grisaya. I only watched the first episode and I didn't like it, but who knows? Maybe someone will get it onto the Second Chances board themselves. What I'm sending? I'm sending 3 Brazilian graphic novels. I'm Brazilian. I'm sending this by my mom. That is staying in the US, I think is what it says. And a random Berserk volume that I got. I'm really happy that I'm supporting you. I can't afford to pay you on Patreon because I'm 16. Favorite songs: Actualize, I'm Mortal, Rotten, and If Me and Tom Were Gay. From Felipe Senpai or Pandy Gengar. Well, I'm glad to know that someone likes my music enough to even mention it in the mail. Particularly those songs are all songs with some pretty deep and feelsy lyrics. Let's see what these graphic novels are. Well, this one is called Nosferatus, and it looks like a heavily manga-inspired, but obviously not Japanese. Yeah, this must be a Brazilian. Oh, man. It's got some fan service in it. Very, like, 80s anime aesthetic. I dig it. This looks pretty entertaining. It looks like an OVA from the 80s. Next up is Sombras. This looks like some Grindhouse shit right here. I mean, it's entirely in what I assume is Portuguese, so I cannot read it, but the art style is pretty fucking cool. It's just all white on black. And very 80s comic book aesthetic. There's like samurais and ninjas and shit and violence. That looks pretty cool. Here is a Masamune Brazilian graphic novel. Also in what I assume is Portuguese. They do speak Portuguese in Brazil, right? I believe. Is this one in Portuguese too? This one also is. Well, I can't read any of them, but they do look very cool and entertaining, and I will love to have them in my collection so that people can look at them and be like, what the hell is that? And there's also a Portuguese volume of Berserk, which is identical on the front and back, so I have no idea which side you're meant to read it from. That's very odd. Okay, it seems to be right to left. And it's volume 7. Man, it's weird looking at old Berserk art. The art style has changed considerably over time. Look how fucking cute Casca is. Look at that. Casca is fucking adorable. Lots of bad things are gonna happen to her. That's depressing to think about. But thanks for all that cool stuff. Let's look at this last one. We've got a big-ass box from Lulu Enterprises in North Carolina. I believe that's the same graphic novel self-publishing company, which I've received several self-published books from already, so let's check it out. Well, what do you know? It's volume 2 of Black Suit Men. One of the earliest packages I got in the mail was volume 1 of Black Suit Men, and now there's a whole second volume of it. Sort of an action gangster story about, like, violence in the city and shit like that. 2 copies. I don't know why there's 2. Because if I'm meant to give one to a friend, I only have 1 copy of volume 1. Maybe this was an accident. But thank you for 2 copies of Black Suit Men to the author who sent these, Kevin Williams. Thanks. I don't know what I'm going to do with the second one, but I'll put the first one with volume 1. And that's it for this round of mailbag stuff. Thanks again to everybody for sending me all that cool stuff and all those nice letters and all the kind words of encouragement. I'll see you in the next one.